So, bienvenidos a todos a El Poder Hispano, AT&T's Hispanic Heritage Month celebration. My name is Mariana Atencio. I'm a journalist, author, and entrepreneur, and I'm honored to be here with all of you to kick off one of the most special times of the year. I woke up with like a little skipping my step, doing a little salsa, because this is our month. This is our month where we get to tell the country and the world who we really are. We commemorate and acknowledge the 500-year history, contributions, and achievements of Latinos in the United States. And I'm proud to be here with all of you to guide these important conversations that will happen today. Also, as an official spokesperson for the Friends of the National Museum of the American Latino, which will happen, and we'll talk about that in our panel discussion. This is a group called Friends, and Friends partnered with AT&T Discovery District to create a gathering space for us here to celebrate our cultural heritage through art. AT&T and Friends' effort to strengthen the representation of our Latino community through greater awareness of the future Smithsonian National Museum of the American Latino in our nation's capital, Washington, D.C., is what brought all of us here together today. So in a few moments, you'll hear from leading Latino voices in arts, in media, business, and advocacy to showcase the true power of our history. But first, I want to bring your attention to two of the amazing artists joining us today. Mucho aplauso para ellos, okay? First off, we have Armando Sebastián, a Mexican-American artist de Monterrey, Mexico. At an early age, Armando became interested in theater and fashion, which later evolved into his expression through narrative painting. Inspired by ancient Mesoamerican history, Sebastián weaves autobiographical details into his work within the context of his own culture, with bright colors and symbols reminiscent of Mexican folk art. Armando's beautiful artwork is displayed to my right in a thoughtfully curated exhibit for all of you to enjoy. So please make sure, bring your vinito, take your little plate of food, and walk around, see his art, and you can also scan the QR codes to learn more about each piece. A big round of applause para Armando por aquí. Oye, levántese, levántese. Woo! And next, I'd like to welcome Fatima Oleo, this year's winner of the Friends and AARP Annual Design Contest. One of the hundreds of submissions we received, Fatima's amazing design received thousands of votes from the public. She's an illustrator, she's a visual artist from Tucson, Arizona, and has participated in more than 11 collective art exhibits outside the country. Her winning artwork is titled, "A Little Bird Told Me," and it's the design you'll see across here today. So Fatima will be here to answer any questions, to sign posters. I mean, this is just beautiful, of her design, and you can take those with you later this evening in the back. Everyone, please join me in giving a big round of applause to Fatima. Felicidades a los dos. Now I'm pleased to introduce our first guest speaker, Thaddeus Arroyo. He made this possible. He leads AT&T's corporate strategy and development efforts and serves as corporate board director across several companies, expertly guiding and advising in technology transformation, as well as leadership development and inclusion. Thaddeus is a visionary leader who continues to inspire thought leadership within the Hispanic community. He has received several recognitions throughout his career, including being named Hispanic IT Executive Council's High-Tech 100 Most Influential Hispanic Professionals in Technology, listed in Latino Leaders Magazine, Top Latino Executives, and proudly also serves on the American Latino Museum's Chairman Advisory Council. It's an honor to welcome Thaddeus to give opening remarks on the importance of creating opportunities and strengthening the representation in the Latino community. Welcome.
Thanks, Mariana.
Bienvenido.
Now, how do you follow Mariana with an opening like that, you know? My mother did write the introduction, though, so that's always helpful for me. But thank you, Mariana. It's always great to be with you, and had a chance to meet her at a party with Lily recently, and it's amazing as I follow your work now that not what you've done in the past, but what you're doing now to help our community, and importantly now to really engage. And this is a great moment for us, right? And it's great to be here tonight as we highlight the importance of what we're doing together. And what we're doing together to advance and empower our community, our Hispanic community. And it's important because part of the way we do that is by sharing our history. You know, we're going to talk a little bit more about that tonight, but that's really what this is. It's sharing our history. By sharing our history, we create that path for the future. And, you know, and the other important element here, though, is that we're setting the foundation for the future generations of Hispanics and the generations today to have an even greater impact. Importantly, though, today's event, this is really oriented around deepening our understanding of the diverse Hispanic communities and the foundational role that they play in shaping our culture, the diversity of the country, inclusivity, and importantly here, the economic development of the future. You know, I want to thank the Friends of the National Museum of the American Latino and the organization who's here with us tonight, because they're representing and they're being agents of change in driving these conversations as we kick off this important moment of Hispanic Heritage Month, a month that we get to celebrate, create pathways for the future, but more importantly is to take a moment and reflect. You know, as we approach this commemorative moment, the month that we use to celebrate, it's important to acknowledge the contributions that Hispanics are making. And importantly, in what we're doing in increasing thought leadership, innovation, creativity, as we see all around us here. And importantly now, building and being the next generation of leadership. The leadership that leads the country, businesses, and everything that happens around us. You know, as society becomes more connected, the imminent opportunities only grow. And they're growing at this unprecedented rate. And that's what we're ultimately going to fill as we create this future pathway. You know, in fact, the Hispanic community is the youngest and fastest growing demographic in this nation. And we look to the future, what's important, and it's clear, is that we're going to continue to be an important element, but to achieve a great deal for society as a whole. You know, importantly, this community has a massive role to play. And it's the opportunity to enhance how people live, work, and do nothing short of engaging with each other. You know, we know that this community now represents, at least many of us in this room, represents more than $1.9 trillion of annual purchasing power. That's what this cohort produces across this country. The size of a top 10, global economy. And according to the U.S. Department of Labor Statistics, we are projected to account for 78% of the growth in the U.S. labor force between 2020 and 2030. Think about that. The majority of the growth of the labor force in this country over that decade. And according to Stanford's 2021, the Latino Entrepreneurship Initiative report, the Hispanic community is starting businesses at a faster pace than any other cohort and across all industries. It's growing over 44% over the last 10 years compared to just 4% overall. And whether it's starting new businesses or entering into emerging and growing industries, being successful requires individuals to embrace this disruptive mentality and this ongoing commitment to continuous and importantly lifelong learning. And when we look to the strengthened potential that we have of this skill set and to participate in growing industries and growing elements of our culture, including art, it's important that we collectively create the pathways to drive engagement in the fields of art, science, technology, engineering, and math. Everything that has this substantial impact, across our economy and across our culture. It's clear that, we're increasingly becoming a critical foundation of growth, not just because of the growing population, but because of the potential to fuel the economy through the potential of this community. And looking at opportunities ahead of us, it's all about creating this sustainable workforce, the sustainable workforce that powers a technological-oriented society, one that's going to depend on the empowerment that we drive in this growing segment of the population, and importantly around, it's kind of nice. That reminds me of one of my cars, but I am a car collector as well. But it depends on empowering Hispanics, though, as we do this to shape and adopt the next wave of innovation. And we do this in a number of ways, I think importantly. The first is through inclusion and sparking interest, bringing this important pipeline of talent into opportunities that represent the future. Importantly, creating new career paths. And through the examples that we set, the stories we tell, through the history that we share. Another important element. And I think of this because that's a big part of the mission that the National Museum of the American Latino has in their purview, and one that they will accomplish. It's about unlocking the ideas by sharing the possibilities. And we see this from the future artists, from innovators, from leaders across every segment of society. It's also, though, about harnessing a long-term strategy to implement accessibility and affordability in not just reaching technology, but having access to reliable internet. And what you do with that, whether it's education, healthcare, work, or now even learning, and frankly, any function beyond. And through this lens, all Americans need to be connected. I think it's important for the future. It's important for our collective future. And it means not only serving, but advancing this fast-growing community to unlock and tap into all the possibilities that comes from having this access, if you will, to the knowledge of mankind. And AT&T is underscoring this importance. We're doing this in our commitment, the commitment that we made in 2021, in this company-wide effort over the next 3 years, a $2 billion investment here initiative to address the digital divide. We're doing this through low-cost broadband offers, participation in the Affordable Connectivity Program, and importantly, contributions that we're making to AT&T Connected Learning Program. We believe that to solve the digital divide, it's important that families not only have accessible and affordable internet options, but also have access to high-quality digital literacy, the foundation of the resources that actually can teach them the skills that they need to adopt and benefit from the great innovation that takes place on the internet. To execute in this commitment really means bringing different perspectives together to help us define new possibilities and unlock a higher degree of collaboration, and then do this in a way that drives innovation. We have 14, let's talk a little bit about how we do that within AT&T. We have 14 diverse employee groups across AT&T, which represent nearly 87,000 employees, and they reflect the diversity of our workforce. Our Hispanic employee group, Hacemos, is committed to supporting AT&T, its members, and the entire community that we serve. And the organization makes up more than 8,300 employees across AT&T. They have 35 chapters across the United States, and I'm proud of this growing movement and what they're achieving. Whether we're strengthening awareness internally, or whether we're doing this through the diverse organizations that we build, we're driving change as we do this, because we're helping together to close this digital divide. We're also creating this sustainable path that I mentioned that is fueled by determination, education, empowerment, and importantly, fueling growth, an element that we all have a part to do. And that's why these ongoing efforts to establish the National Museum for the American Latino are so important. And to do this in the nation's capital, and to do it in the premier spot at the Smithsonian, because this is all about fortifying Hispanic representation in our society. And importantly, this new museum can serve as that cornerstone to learn about the diverse scope of the Hispanic contribution and the contributions over time in the United States, but not just in any single domain, domains that will span art, science, the fields that have impacted the development of this country, and importantly, the advancement of this country. And there are many stories to tell along that way. And I'm proud of a company like AT&T, for collaborating with the museum to help bring this to life, help drive this narrative forward, and importantly, establish this pathway for the next generations. Together, we can ensure that we collectively are fostering this diverse perspective, that we're positively shaping society as we do so. And with that, I'm often reminded of one of my favorite quotes from the National Center for the Women in Information Technology, an organization I'm the vice chair of. And it's a really simple idea. And it is when we start by saying that the idea that you don't have is the voice that you haven't heard. And it's such a powerful statement because it is what happens and what you can accomplish when you build a diverse community of leaders that can bring diversity of thought, diversity of approach, and importantly, diversity of understanding to anything that we seek to accomplish. We know different perspectives help define new possibilities. The Hispanic community, I believe, is at the very core of society's transformative journey, as are all the other cohorts of our society. But it's important because I think as we think about this moment in this fast-growing segment, that we all move forward with this vision in an optimistic and confident way such that we know that we're going to equip them to lead. And so as we kind of proceed now, into the main section, I just want to take a moment, though, to thank, some of those who made what we're doing here tonight possible. I mentioned them a few times, but our friends at the National Museum of the American Latino, our guest speakers who will come up next and share some insights and important vision, Hacemos Dallas and the AT&T Wireless Hispanic marketing team for supporting tonight's event, and importantly, for this amazing, immersive artwork that you see around us here, for the artists and the contributing artists who put this together. I think, clearly an impressive collection and ultimately a representation of talent that we're discussing and the stories that we want to tell more and more. And importantly, though, for all of you who are joining us tonight and participating in this, I know Mariana and the AT&T team have put together a great agenda. It's a relatively short one so that we have more time to mingle after and share a few drinks together. And I'm honored, though, that at AT&T we're able to host you here at our headquarters, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the event. Mariana, thank you. Thanks so much. You bet.
Wow. That was like a TED Talk, right? Amazing. You're great. Thank you. Thank you, Thaddeus, for your inspiring words. So next, I want us to head to the fireside chat with 3 exceptional Latino leaders. I've been fangirling ever since I found out. The first one I'll introduce, she is like my long lost twin. I'm gonna say that. The first moment that we connected, I'm like, where have you been all my life? Her name is Lily Gil Valeta. She's an award-winning entrepreneur, cultural intelligence expert, tech innovator, TV business commentator. Lily co-founded CN Plus and Culture Intel. I mean, they just set the standard. I was talking to someone from her team. They just set the standard to what Latino marketing has to be. She's globally recognized as a leader in big data analytics, business, and marketing strategies. But I would say what makes Lily so special is just her enormous heart. When Thaddeus said that we met at a party, we actually met at Lily's house. And many of you who I've come and greeted today, I met at Lily's house. So that, to have the kind of house where people come and mingle and from different viewpoints can just be friends is what being Latino is all about. And it's that inclusive spirit that makes Lily who she is. And I have to brag that she's also coming hot off her stint on Fox News. And I love to have a woman like her representing us in those spaces. Lily is also board chair for Friends, the future National Museum of the American Latino. She's working very hard day and night to make that possible. Big round of applause for Lily. She also has a big family, and I don't know how she does it all. It's true. Lisette Mendez, I just befriended tonight. She is the controller for Latin American mobility business here at AT&T. She has over 25 years of experience within AT&T and within and outside finance. Lisette is a first-generation Cuban-American, passionate about helping underprivileged youth and women, and she mentors members of AT&T Women of Finance. We have great plans to go and travel to Key West, where she also travels frequently. Lily, come onto the stage. Lisette, rather, come onto the stage with Lily. And a big round of applause for her. Gracias. Gracias. Thank you for your leadership.
Oh, thank you.
So amazing to be surrounded by strong women. And last but certainly not least, privilegiado entre las mujeres, Lalo Alcaraz, winning nationally syndicated editorial cartoonist. He's the creator of the syndicated daily comic strip La Cucaracha, published nationwide since 2002. Lalo is the 2022 winner of the Herblock Prize for Excellence in Editorial Cartoonist, the first ever Latino to win this prestigious prize. That alone deserves a big round of applause. I have to continue bragging about you. There's still more to brag about.
Stuff.
Lalo uses his passion and brilliance to cover civil rights and other issues affecting Latinos in the United States. And it's great to say, you know, when something happens, like, what did Lalo have to say about it? And go and look at, no, seriously, your cartoons as a political reference to how our community feels. Come onto the stage, Lalo. Ahora sí. All right, let's begin this discussion. So Hispanic Heritage Month is all about celebrating our community's history, our contributions. I'd like to just briefly, and I'll start with you, Lisette. On a week like today, how do you celebrate your Hispanic heritage?
So, Mariana, I would just start by saying, first of all, this month is just a great opportunity to celebrate the various Independence Days, you know, whether it's Chile, Guatemala, Mexico, and others. And quite frankly, I think we should be celebrating every day our Latino culture. But for me, what I intend to do are three things. First, I'm going to attend a community event like this one, so I've checked that one off. The second thing is I'm actually going to listen to a podcast called Latino. It's going to talk a lot about different cultures. And then the third thing I'm going to do is I'm going to try a new Latino dish. So I am open to suggestions after the session. Please come see me. So that's how I intend to.
Pabellón venezolano. It's
Sí?
easy.
Okay.
It's easy. What's the name of the podcast so we all check?
Alt.Latino.
Alt.Latino. Okay, great. Lily, what about you?
I agree that Hispanic Heritage Month should be every month, especially after listening to the breakdown of the numbers. There is no American integrity or identity without Hispanics being an integral part of that. And now that I am a proud Texan, as of last year that I moved from New York, come on. Texas is like very quickly becoming majority Hispanic, so we are the mainstream, and that to me is worth celebrating day in and day out. And besides experimenting with cultural curiosity, which I think Lisette's advice is the stuff that I often tell a lot of my partners and clients. I say, you want to experience culture? By the way, food is a great gateway to culture, all cultures. I think that's a first experiment to exchange new flavors and kind of get curious. But my invitation to all of us, the best way to celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month every month is by us unapologetically and authentically being proud Latinos in the way we carry forward our ideas and how we show up in meetings, socially, with the friends that are not Latinos. You are the best representation and showcase of culture way before and beyond a museum can do. You can with those around you every single day. And I am very proud to do that unapologetically. You were just mentioning, I just did a show yesterday, which was really exciting in New York. I threw some Espanol in there, and I say some Hispanic things, even if I'm not asked, because I know I have that opportunity to do so. So, hey, do it, and most likely people are gonna welcome it and enjoy it. So you are the best way to celebrate every month.
Oh, it's my turn?
How do you celebrate, Lalo?
You know, every Hispanic Heritage Month, I vow to learn one new Latino cuss word. So, carajo to all of you. And to drink one new Latino drink, tequila. I've never heard of it, but I want to try it so bad.
Okay, question number 2.
That's why he's the cartoonist, right?
We're gonna try some tequila, hopefully at the bar at the end, Lalo. Staying true to ourselves, being unapologetic, Lily, what you were saying about our artwork is also so important. We have, you know, such a history. What advice would you give to anyone here today about staying true to yourself, especially those of us, and I'm sure it's happened to all of us here, who've been told like, yeah, you're a little much, you know, tone down your Latinidad, we don't know what to do with that. What advice would you give to people that have been told that about doing that and celebrating that at work? You said.
Okay, so I'm gonna piggyback off of Lily what you're saying. So, I mean, staying true is easy to say, but hard to do. And so as a woman of color at AT&T, my DNA taught me that my work showed who I was. And so I had to really work hard to really have my voice, find my voice, levantar mi voz, right? Both literally and figuratively, so that who I was coming out. That's, you know, kind of that was my art. That was, so my advice around that is to make sure you find your voice, you lift up yourself and your voice. Now, in terms of like my work every day, I think of 3 things, or I do 3 things to really encourage my heritage. And it's a lot of what Lily, you said. So the first thing is really tactically, I make sure people know how to say my name, how to spell my name, including the accent on my last name, right? So the second thing is, you know, just like Lily was saying, Spanish is my first language. And so I pronounce things in Spanish, where there's names, I translate sometimes, but I try to say it in Spanish. And then the last thing is, my job as a controller in Mexico gives me the opportunity to day in and day out work with my team in Spanish. And so I have all my meetings with them in Spanish. And it's a lot of fun, although I will say that I'm learning financial Spanish because they really don't teach you cash flows in school, or my parents didn't teach me that. So all in all, that's really how I try to stay true at work.
That's amazing. Anna, thank you for talking about the importance of pronouncing our names the way they were meant to be pronounced. You know, when you hear people say like, my name's Mariana, but you can call me Marianne, like, no, that's not the name your parents gave you. You're giving away the biggest source of your power. So the more that you show up as the Lisette and the Lalos and the Lilies and the Marianas, the more you're creating space for other people who walk into those offices after you. So just something to keep in mind, the fact that it goes beyond yourself. So thank you for being brave.
Thank you.
Lily.
Well, talking about the names, I have a confession to make. And it happened here in Texas, which is where I landed straight from Colombia without speaking a word of English. Texas was where I was learning English, and then I realized I was learning Texan, not English. When I moved to the Northeast to work at J&J, and y'all wasn't a thing. So now I'm trying to adopt it again. Anyway, but here's the confession. My name is Liliana, right?
Liliana, wow.
And I was in this little, like, private Christian school in the middle of nowhere, population 3,000 here in Texas, and people were like, Liliana? And I was like, ew, that sounds so ugly. You can just call me Lily. So I did cut my name.
I'm gonna start calling you Liliana from now on.
Dios mío, it's Liliana. But now if people call me Liliana, I feel like I'm in trouble, like my dad is calling me Liliana. So anyway, yes, I did do that, Lisa.
Okay, it's okay.
Sorry.
It's okay.
I think it's the first time in a panel that I confessed to that.
We're breaking new ground here for Hispanic heritage.
Yeah, so reclaim your name proudly. I know, I love also when people try to say your name, Tadeo. It's like Tadeo, Thaddeus, Arroyo, what do we do? Anyway, it's kind of fun to play with names. But I think the best thing to be you. You know, when you look at Latino values, inherent values that make us who we are as a great, strong community. There is hard work, resilience. I often say, hey, show me the last time you saw a Latino begging in the streets. We're looking for jobs, for opportunity. And I think that mindset and the opportunity to show off and show up that resilience and hard work comes with performance. So I love that Lizette actually went there. Because I often will tell, especially young Latinas, oh, how do I stand out and all. It's like, you know what? Performance and the delivery of your work and capability and preparation will transcend whatever personal bias or assumption they're making because you have cute shoes or whatever. So that is my invitation to all of us. Beyond the obvious, right? Bring the culture, the perspective, global corporations like this one or the one where I come from, I was at J&J before, I would create bridges and conversations about business and numbers that others hadn't thought about. But beyond that, be amazingly good because we are wired to hustle, work hard, and be resilient. And that shows up in our performance. So I say that's the best way to be proudly and unapologetically Latino with the way we perform. Yeah.
All right, a couple things. We know that we have to try 100 times harder just to be taken seriously. So that's how I live my life. Second, I have a cousin named Lily, so you're good. She lives outside of Houston.
She Liliana?
She's Liliana.
Sí.
She's Lily when I'm drunk. Lee. Hey, prima. Third, I'm sorry you missed the obvious joke. It was a Tadeo talk.
Oh, not a TED
It
Talk.
wasn't a TED Talk.
But I'm
Tadeo
bummed.
talk.
Good.
All right, for next time, next year. And then I don't know. I'm not apologetic about anything. So I don't know if this question works for my work because I'm an editorial cartoonist and I have to tell the truth, and people don't like to hear the truth. So I have equally, number of hate mailers, detractors from the mainstream white community as I do from the, whatever you want to call it, Hispanic, Latino community. Most of those emails say, don't say that, and I'm like, too late, I just did. So, I mean, I might, when, parents come to me and say, how can my kid be an artist? What iPad can I buy for my kid? What program can I'm like, you give your kid a pen, a pencil, and forget it. That's too fancy. Give them a rock, throw them out in the yard, make them draw on the dirt. That's what art is. It's your self-expression that you need to get out and make. So never apologize for that. I got to tell real quick the story that I told my friend Cheech Marin. Have you heard of him, Cheech and Chong?
Yeah.
Biggest Chicano art collector in the country. And we were doing a podcast together, and I said, Cheech, I have a crazy racial theory. What? He said, what? I said, I have a theory that Mesoamerican people have this gene. We were talking about DNA about 5 minutes ago. Have this gene that's the art gene. And I know it because it's my family, and my mother's name is Alcaraz, and the Alcaraz family has the art gene. It's like crazy. But generally, in Mesoamerica, just look at the art that we see now from back then. We have some kind of graphic design gene. Cheech, just look at that artwork. Look at this. And he looked at me and he said, duh. I was like, all right, that's true. That means it's true. We have a special extra ability to express ourselves in our lives, in our crafts, and American society notices that, and they're scared of it, but who cares, whatever, we're gonna do. One more thing to the Tadeo talk, brother, we're in the same gang, right? We're in the Friends of the American Latino thing. However, in my experience in Hollywood, and that's just one experience, also in book publishing, we are still, after 30 years of me noticing when I was a pendejo 20-year-old running around, we're still at 3 to 4 to 6% in representation. It doesn't change.
And I actually have a question
It doesn't
about that
change.
coming up.
Okay, good.
And it's directed
It doesn't change, and we got to do something more drastic than having great events. And you know what? Somebody's got to throw money at this or something, not just at usage of our phones, but at creation of the content, because we have it in us. We have it in us. We just, the rest of the population doesn't want to hear about it because they want it. It's not that they hate us and they don't want to see us because look at us, we're so pretty. You know, we look good on screen, but there's some reason they don't want us to tell our stories.
Yeah. Well, we'll get to that. I want to get to, and you touched on it, is the importance of the museum and the need to have the museum. So briefly, I'll ask all of you, and Lily, I'll start with you. Since you're leading this effort, you know, why is it important, piggybacking off what Lalo said, to have a museum that tells our history?
Well, to understand American history, you must understand American Latino history and what it means to that creation of this great experiment we call America. We have contributed to this great nation and what it is and its identity for over 500 years. And there's so many fun facts that the kids in every school across America should know and feel proud about. Like the fact that the first language spoken in America was Spanish.
Absolutely.
And before there was Jamestown, there was St. Augustine, Florida, which was a Spanish settlement, first city ever in America that happens to be Spanish. And the facts and fun facts just go on and on. So net is for us to continue to proudly own and celebrate this great definition of what America is, which is a very unique and special country made up of immigrants in pursuit of freedom, prosperity, the land of opportunity. I do believe in all of that. You cannot have a complete telling of that American story without those 500 years of contributions of American Latinos at every stage of the way. We have fought in every war. We have invented all kinds of fun things like color television. Did you know that? Or the next time a loved one in your family is getting a stent, that ballooning technology in the stents was invented by a Latino. And the list kind of goes on of all kinds of fun things. So I want my kids, your kids, and everybody's kids in this country to know and realize and celebrate the full story that we have created together, and Latinos are a big part of that. So that's why many of you may not realize it's been over 2 decades of us working on getting this American Latino Museum approved, you know, by a bipartisan bill. President Trump signed it into law. Now we're looking for the support of President Biden and his team so that we can keep pushing for the best location on the National Mall. This has no party lines. From President Bush, George W. Bush, all the way to now, it has continued to be a priority, and we continue to pursue this great dream. So now it's gonna happen, because we have a bill, and the Smithsonian has now an official board of regents that is picking the location, and the board of trustees, and all the folks that in the powers that be in DC have an eye on this. Hopefully we know by the end of this year where it will be. But we need that to keep celebrating this great nation in its completeness. I don't know if that's a word, but we'll make it up. And that way, we can be continuing to be proud of those contributions for 500 years more.
So, you touched on my next question, which is that this year is pivotal because it is where the location is being decided, and it is important for this museum to be on the National Mall because that's where our community deserves to be. Yes. I know you're fighting behind the scenes every single day to make that happen. So if you guys come up to Lily, you can also come up to me. You know, how can you support? How can you make noise about the fact that we need this museum to be where our community deserves to be? If you happen to come across it on social media, start following the Friends of the American Latino Museum account. Because, as Lalo said, we're very good at making noise, we're there, we're connected, so let's use that power to really push this forward to make this happen this year. Thank you for all your work in that regard, Lily. On to Lisette. In what ways can corporations, such as AT&T, show their support for the preservation and the telling of our Latino history? And what does it mean to you, for your workplace, to contribute to the development of a national Latino museum?
So Mariana, I think Tadeo's hit on some of these points. So we have at AT&T a lot of employee resource groups, and they help to promote workplace and cultural creativity. And so Hacemos, who is helping to sponsor this, so thank you, is our Hispanic employee resource group. And so we at AT&T look to try to have our employees tell their stories. And by telling the stories, it really helps to augment what's happening in the community. And so as an example, I've been telling some folks, we had a controller town hall earlier today, and we had a segment called Mi Historia. And so it really was an opportunity for some of our team members to come and talk about what they did as part of Hispanic Heritage Month. So I think that storytelling is really very important, and for our employees to do that, to share as much of those stories as we can, because I think that the more that we can capture our history through the storytelling, the more impact that we can have on the entire Latino community making and being part of history going forward. So I think that storytelling and the masses of that storytelling is really critical. And AT&T does a lot to try to encourage that, both from an employee resource group as well as leadership.
Thank you so much for that. And to your prior point, Lalo, when you were talking about what needs to happen for the entertainment industry and media to understand, I think corporations understand because we're their customers and we're loyal customers, and business leaders understand, such as yourself. So thank you so much, Lisette, for the work that you lead.
Thank you.
Lalo, on to you. I'm going to brag about your award again. You were awarded the Herblock Prize for your courage and unapologetic focus, making history as the first Latino ever to win this award.
The first brown anything to win it.
Woo! Woo! Un aplauso.
I know I'm a little pink, but that's because I descend from mole people of Zacatecas.
What has been the hardest part of depicting, these very harsh moments in recent history? And what you were saying, I sometimes watch your work and I'm like, wow, he must be getting hate mail left and right. How do you deal with that?
Yes, please stop sending me those letters. I mean, it's getting weird. People ask editorial cartoonists, you must do this just to get hate letters. I'm like, no, not at all. I'm a very, my wife will dispute this. I'm a very sensitive man. And my wife's like, no. But I used to feel attacked, right? Like they say, and then stalked. And I can't post on social media about my family and my kids, where they're going to college and stuff, because I have crazy people that want to find my house and all this. It's like, I'm just doing cartoons, guys, And but they don't like what I say, which is fine. That part is, I'm all about the uncomfortableness of the society and about history. And I'm here for the museum to advocate for the Southwest and to advocate for Chicano art to be included, for the region to be included. So we have a nice balance with the East Coast, but it should be mostly us. And a little bit over there,
Did you hear San Agustin earlier? Did you hear about San Agustin?
Yeah, well, yes, I did, all right? But I got to reread the questions. Other questions?
No. You answered, so let me ask you a follow-up, Lalo.
Yeah, let's go to number 2. And I will, is that number 2? Oh, no, that's Lily. See, Lalo, Lily, Lalo,
And
Lily.
Lisette is
It's confusing.
let's
You can call me prima.
let's
too.
listen.
Okay, yeah.
Let's move on to Lily now, because you actually empathize with what Lalo had to say when you appear in places like Fox News, and you also represent a conservative viewpoint, which many Latinos share. Mm-hmm. Do you also feel attacked? What motivates you to continue the work that you do?
Absolutely. Well, here's the thing, opinion, and I respect so much what Lalo does because art can be very subjective and interpreted by anyone. I stay very centered, numbers driven, and I think that is the higher calling, you know, as a business person, as somebody that manages a lot of data and insights all the time, that to me is the connector. Because regardless of sides or political views and all of that, the facts are the facts as it relates to our size, our growth, all the potential, everything that Thaddeus said at the beginning, and what are those things that are great contributions to America. I think we just disagree sometimes in how we want to achieve that prosperity and freedom, but the fact that we are important is undeniable. I don't care where you sit on which side of the aisle. So what I do is that, create a higher ground conversation. I've had the great privilege of meeting with President Obama, President Trump, President Biden. And it's always been because the agenda is one of how do we uplift and continue to preserve the freedoms and the prosperity of this nation, and you cannot do it, it's mathematically impossible without the Hispanic contributions in that formula. So that's the way to do it, and I rise above opinion. Yeah.
But I've just been told we have run out of time, which is, I mean.
Oh no, Lisette, final word.
No. I want us to finish.
I'm sorry, I had the final word with, I have an AT&T phone, but
Does it work?
but not with the DirecTV website.
Oh.
So I would like to speak to the manager of AT&T before the night's
Thaddeus is
done.
over there.
I hope, look, can we drive to the manager's house? Because my wife is pissed because she can't watch Real Housewives on her iPad because we can't log on anymore because the two companies don't talk to each other. That's my most important Hispanic Heritage Month point I've ever made.
So
Thank you.
I want to give a big round of applause to our panelists, please. Yes, please. I want to finish by saying what I do to celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month, and I hope that it inspires you to do the same, just to help a Latino out. You know, sometimes when you hear us talk about ourselves, we can just be really, really hard, you know, on each other because of what we look like or where we come from or what languages we speak or our background. But if you realize that by helping another Latino, you're helping all of us, that can mean just such a huge change. Everybody on here, from AT&T, the second that I met you guys, to Lily, to Lalo, you have no idea, ever since I started working at Univision, how you've inspired me as a friend, how you've inspired me because of your business sense. So if you're out there and you have a chance to help somebody, do it, because that is the best way to celebrate our community. So thank you all for being here. And feel free to network. We're gonna close it out with Michelle Jordan, who's gonna come on stage. But first, I'm gonna get up here in a very elegant fashion. We're gonna have Michelle come on stage. She is AT&T's newly appointed Chief Diversity Officer, and she's gonna help us wrap this wonderful event. Big round of applause for Michelle.
Thank you, Mariana, for the warm welcome. And give it up one more time for this amazing discussion. There are a couple of things that I just want to emphasize. Be you and find your voice unapologetically. So thank you all for sharing that today. So again, as Mariana said, I am Michelle Jordan. I am a newly appointed Chief Diversity Officer for AT&T. And it is such an honor to be here with you all this evening as we prepare to kick off Hispanic Heritage Month. I am so excited. I've been with AT&T now for about 16 years or so, and I've served in a variety of capacities, all in some way, shape, or form touching DE&I. And I will tell you, though, that one thing that has not changed over the last 16 years, or just in my career in general, is that when you are in a room with a group of like-minded people who are focused on the same mission, I tell you, it is inspiring and it is incredibly magnetic. And so that's the feeling I'm getting here today when we come together to celebrate the histories, the cultures, and the contributions of Americans of Hispanic heritage. So Latinos, as you all know, are one of the fastest growing populations in the country. And Latinos are essential to the fabric of our society. And at AT&T, the Hispanic and Latino community are a vital part of our workforce, of our customers, and the communities that we serve. And so our goal is to support the community by providing an opportunity that helps them reach their limitless possibilities. So we do this, as Thaddeus mentioned, by providing access to equitable opportunities that provide pathways to everyone. And so we do it through our $2 billion three-year commitment. Thaddeus also talked about that a little bit, to help close the digital divide. And we're ensuring access to those opportunities through connectivity for the communities that need it the most, because we know that the digital divide disproportionately impacts people of color, including Latinos. So by increasing accessible and affordable broadband, we're helping to create more equitable societies, and one that benefits Latino families and others. And that is just the beginning, you all. To help fully bridge the digital divide, we're also addressing the many reasons for the lack of internet adoption, which include lack of digital skills from times, language barriers, and simply just being unaware of the free and affordable access. And so we want to equip families with the right tools to succeed. And it's our hope that closing the digital divide will provide students of today to become the workforce of the future and better reflect the diverse communities that we serve. And so while this is one area, just one area that we're laser focused, we know that there are so many more challenges, and we recognize that there are challenges that we can't tackle alone. And so that includes, as we've talked also about here this evening, increasing and strengthening Latino representation across all industries. And this is why our long-standing support of organizations like the Friends of the National American Latino Museum and so many others gathered here tonight are so, so critical. So there's power in community, and there's power in this community. And to ensure, yes, power in this community. And so to ensure Hispanic people achieve their limitless possibilities, and as you all have heard tonight, AT&T is committed to creating and supporting avenues to help them do so. So again, thank you all so very much for joining us here tonight, and thank you for all that you're doing to continue to keep Hispanic and Latino communities at the forefront of the conversation. Please enjoy the art exhibit tonight. Enjoy some more networking. Be safe, and happy Hispanic Heritage Month. Thank you so much.